dollar with the gold fleet collar, dipping in my blue Impala. Top dollar with the gold fleet collar, dipping in my blue Impala. Top dollar with the gold fleet collar, dipping in my blue Impala. Top dollar with the gold fleet collar, dipping in my blue Impala.
We didn't know that you did this work with Dre like that. We just knew that because you was ghostwriting, we just knew that he appeared on your first two songs. Was it ever a time where people thought he was trying to replace Snoop with you, and you was getting that feedback from people?
No, because Snoop is my family. We both from Long Beach,
Oh,
so that's my big cousin right there. Like he's 4 years older than me.
got you.
The thing being is, he wasn't trying to replace Snoop with me. Him and Snoop was doing a movie, and he put me in charge of doing the Watch soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
He thought my song would need to be put out because of the work I put in.
Got you.
So he put that song out, and then he did the Watch soundtrack second with Snoop.
Got
So
you.
it wasn't a replacement setting, because I went to the Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg reunion in Hawaii when I was on parole, writing for Dre.
Voila! It's your brother John Mack in the building, aka Mindbender. Always keeping it real on the channel that you can feel. Metro 360 News and Entertainment. What's up, y'all? How y'all doing on this lovely Monday afternoon and evening? We know it's beautiful and sunny outside, and we got a lot to discuss today, don't we? We got a lot to discuss today. First of all, I want to send a shout out to anybody who watched part one of my Snoop documentary and niggas imitating, cloning, biting, and befriending Snoop Dogg. Every day that I see the numbers grow on this channel, I'm very impressed and I'm very thankful, and I just want to send that shout out to all of you. I know I'm slow with answering comments and things of that nature, but it takes a lot of energy and a lot of time on my day to get y'all this real shit. So let's start from the origins. And a lot of times I'm telling these stories from my perspective, y'all, so if I get a couple of facts wrong or you hear some things that don't sound plausible, please leave it in the comment box. But don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. I'm in desperate need of them likes. I'm getting them plays, but it's time to hit that like button. Thank y'all. Okay, so let's get on to it. Nocturnal. Knock, knock. You see, back in 1994, I knew the nigga as Royal. The nigga's name is Royal Harbor. And Royal Harbor, let's get into his origins and my origins of crossing paths in 1994. Okay, so 1994 is the year that I moved from South Central to Bellflower, California. I lived there for a year. In 1994, between 94 and 95, which was my junior year in high school. Previously, before then, I went to Crenshaw High School. I went to Fauché Junior High School, but I only came to Fauché via transfer from Audubon Junior High School because I got kicked out of school and I had to go to Fauché. While I was going to Bellflower High School, I got kicked out and I had to go to Rosewood CDC. So that's the timeline. If you know anything about Bellflower, California, Bellflower is situated between the cities of Norwalk and Paramount, south and north. And east and west is situated between Watts and Long Beach, right below Compton. You know what I'm saying? So I'm talking about literally shares a borderline with Compton and Long Beach almost simultaneously. Very small town, like a one gang town too. They got, maybe two gangs, one SA gang, one black gang, you know what I'm saying? So that's the demographics of Bellflower. Well, back in the 90s, you had a lot of little starter gangs and cliques and crews, tag banging and shit like this, right? So it was a different era because the gangs, you know what I'm saying, in Los Angeles, all over Los Angeles County, you know what I'm saying, were filled with what we call a lot of OGs and YGs. You feel what I'm saying? And the BGs, you know what I'm saying, a lot of times before they hopped on the set that was in their neighborhood, they would have like, you know what I'm saying, the baby homies. And the baby homies would be like a clique. You know what I'm saying? But some of those cliques end up turning into gangs. Like they didn't just stay a clique and they didn't join with the local hood that was surrounding them. They became their own thing. So that started a whole lot of other little baby wars within hoods. You feel what I'm saying? At this time, when I met Royal, niggas was doing a lot of crazy freestyling all over LA. This is a unique time right after the riots, you know what I'm saying, when everything was calmed down in Los Angeles, you know, for a short while. You know what I'm saying? Everything was calm, you know what I'm saying? In a little town like Bellflower, you had a lot of people from other parts of Los Angeles that lived there, because you could live in Bellflower and not get really sweated by the local hood if you was from somewhere else. I moved there by default. I was in high school, so my stepdad worked for the post office, and my mother worked out in Glendale at the General Motors plant. You know what I'm saying? So it was easier for them to get to work than coming away from the west side all the way past that area. You know what I'm saying? And I kept getting kicked out of school and shit, so they thought maybe if I moved out that way, you know what I'm saying, there'd be a chance for me not to stay in trouble, so to speak, at this time. And before then, I was always into music. Always, always. From junior high school, nigga was rapping. From elementary school, the nigga was rapping. You know what I'm saying? Freestyling. So, you know, by the time I was in 11th grade, 94, I thought I was the ultimate supreme at freestyle, period. Wasn't nobody in LA fucking with me. I didn't even know Snoop and them because they was a couple of years older than me. They was like the same age as my cousin Den, a.k.a. G-Trick. And my cousin Den, he went to Lusinger High School. And that's the same high school that Corrupt went to. So I was hearing all the stories about Corrupt way back then when he was rapping with the SOS band. But on another note, a nigga was out there in LA getting his major freestyle on, right? In my younger age. And moving to Bellflower, it was like, I'm ready to get it on with these niggas. But like I told y'all earlier in the beginning, a lot of different dudes from all around Los Angeles was living in Bellflower because their parents had jobs in Orange County, working at the GM plant in Glendale and shit like this. So they was bringing a lot of kids, and a lot of kids from Compton who probably their parents was making a little more money, or even they was probably troubled kids in Compton, was going to Bellflower High School. A lot of niggas from Long Beach was going to Bellflower High School. So it was niggas from all over LA in the early 90s in Bellflower, period. Bellflower was a bustling city. Big money in the city. You know what I'm saying? Right in the middle, you know what I'm saying, of all them cities like I mentioned. And on some super LA fly shit. And different gangs would come out to Bellflower and shit and not really have to even be set tripping. It would happen, you know what I'm saying? But it wasn't a necessity in Bellflower. Usually it'd be on some head up shit like, nigga, you know what I'm saying, this nigga, you know, get down with this nigga. And that sort of thing. And then, like I said, the one black gang that was in Bellflower was probably like a starter gang in the 90s. You know what I'm saying? And that was the 706s. But they a bustling amount of niggas now. You know what I'm saying? They been putting in work for years, so shout out to them. Anyways, This nigga Royal, right? He was going around Bellflower terrorizing niggas lyrically. You know what I'm saying? But he sounded just like Snoop. That's on my mama. That nigga sounded just like Snoop. We used to be like, man, this nigga sound like Snoop. Me and my homie Scanless, we was going in on niggas. You know what I'm saying? Tag teaming, lyrical, murderation beatings across the face and back. You know what I'm saying? We ran. So one day, everybody at the school was like, y'all know that nigga Royal? You know, he talking about he'll eat any niggas up on the mic, blah, blah, blah. And I think it was like a pep rally or something at Bellflower High School or something. We seen him. He was ciphering and destroying one nigga after another. And I came through and gave that nigga the works. You know what I'm saying? I was hitting him with all kind of crazy freestyle bars. And see, back then, if you was gonna battle a nigga, you couldn't come with no written shit. Get the fuck out of here with that. Nigga came with some written shit and the whole crowd, nigga be like, get this bitch ass nigga up out of here. This nigga wrote that. You had to freestyle, period. There had to be some shit on the spot right there mentioning what was going on. Man, I gave that nigga the 1-2. But on some real shit, we was going back and forth. But because he had that Snoop flow, I think that kind of killed him. You know what I'm saying? Like if his shit would have been original at the time, like what we hear now. You know what I'm saying? I imagine Dre must have got to him and changed that nigga's whole shit. I was like, nigga, you ain't gonna make it if you sound like Snoop. You gonna have to do something different. He probably heard what we all heard, the lyrical shit, but trying to clone and sound like another nigga just wasn't gonna be it. I don't know. I'm not in Dre's head, so I don't want to speak for the man, but that's what it seemed like to me. Because when I seen the nigga, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, he was terrorizing niggas. But his name was the talk of Los Angeles at the time. That's a fact. It's not on some funny shit. However, I didn't know that Snoop was his cousin. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a new one to me. He ain't say no shit like that back in the day. And my homie Big Lobo from 11 Deuce wanted to do him in. And we always, like literally, wanted to clap that nigga. We always just had to chill him out. You know, stall him out. Like, man, stall him out, man. But that's not saying he was a buster or something. I'm just saying, it's ironic how, you know what I'm saying, he linked up with Dre and all this shit, you know what I'm saying, years later. He predicted that for himself. You know what I'm saying? So, it is what it is. But, now on some ironic shit, the couple details or characteristics I remembered about this dude was that he had this like light-skinned bitch that was like the same color as him. But she had like short hair, but she had a big ass though. She was fine than a motherfucker. But she kind of looked like him. They was like the same skin color and shit. But she had like short hair. And I remember like at the time when I met the nigga, he said he had just came back from Chicago battling niggas. And he was real excited about this clothing lines that was out there in Chicago that he had brought back with him called Gore-Tex. I don't know if niggas in Chicago still wear this Gore-Tex thing, but back in the 90s, he was on it though. You know what I'm saying? He had everything. He was like, man, I got everything Gore-Tex. So he was excited that he had went to Chicago and learned about, you know what I'm saying, the style of clothing that they was sporting out there and shit, and bringing it back to LA. So that's another one of my stories about Nocturnal. Also too, crazy how the stars align years later, like let's say like around 2005, coming out to the Dallas-Fort Worth area, you know what I'm saying? One of these player partners of mine named Big Mello, man, he had a studio called Cam Studios, and it was situated in the mid-cities, right in between the middle of Dallas and Fort Worth, like right directly in the apex by the airport area. There was an area over there called like the Lone Star Park or something like that. There was a big-ass golf course and shit. And they had a recording studio up in there. So I had went up in there, and this is around the time when I met Erotic, the DOC, And you know, Tony Thompson, rest in peace, from the group High Five. You know what I'm saying? Me and Erotic had took me, Flames. I think Gerard was with us. I'm not really sure, but you know what I'm saying? That was right before we had went on tour. And then, so I seen these platinum plaques in the studio, you know what I'm saying? And it was the Chronic 2001. I think it was like, maybe it might have been Exhibit's album or something like that. It had a platinum plaque. Anyways, this is a couple of albums, man. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, who plaques is these? You know what I'm saying? I asked Mello, and he was like, man, you know the dude Nocturnal? I said, yeah. He said, man, they got a studio out here in Dallas, man. So he said, them is his plaques. Now, I didn't see him when I was down there, you know what I'm saying? So that at this time, there was no, you know, interactive connection with me and him, but I was working with Erotic at the time, you know what I'm saying? So when we seen that, I was like, oh, okay, that's just what it is. I know this dude, you know what I'm saying? But shit. The shit he did with the Wash, you know what I'm saying? Classic shit, man. Classic shit. So my only thing was, at this time, he was around, you know what I'm saying? And so what his connection was with Death Row at the time, I don't know. I feel like it's a lot of little mystery in there. Because like I said, early on, dude sounded just like Snoop. Just like him. I mean, dude, you couldn't have really separated their styles. So whatever he grew into or whatever he changed into, and for whatever reason that he wasn't allowed to be signed with Aftermath or Death Row even at the time, remain to be seen. But that's my story about KNOC. So, you know, thank y'all for participating and listening. Peace and blessings.
When dusk hits and I reach the club, it gets exquisite. And I can give a fuck about your bitch. And which bitch she rolling with, it's knocking hit. Both our dicks gon' spit and both of us gon' rub on her ass and tits. She mixing up my nut and her mouth with spit. It's obvious she's in love with a Mac with a big dick. I'm involved with a big click. My music's the dildo.